everyone. Welcome to Switchblade Sisters Social Club, the true crime podcast where two friends exploit their worst fears for your entertainment.
You're welcome.
I'm Dee, a writer and podcaster.
And I'm Isla from Criminally Good Books, a true crime and crime fiction bookshop in York.
Follow us on all the socials.
Except for X, obviously.
Or have a look at our website, switchbladesisterssocialclub.com.
Check them out for all our latest episodes, events, deals, and other weird stuff.
Listeners' discretion advised. Okay, apologies in advance for this very sweaty, sunburnt episode.
Well, we're both sweaty, and I am the only one that's sunburnt.
Do you know that one of the people I work with, one of my clients, he is going to Italy today on holiday, and he is happy to be escaping the heat of London by going to Italy because it's only 29 degrees in Italy and it's like reaching 40 degrees here.
Is it?
It's going to be like 38 degrees or something tomorrow.
Oh my God.
If anyone is questioning whether climate change is a thing, look at our sweaty faces. So I did some little analysis of some stuff for our podcast because I like looking at numbers. How many episodes do you think we've produced? Obviously, I'm including ones with previous co-hosts, but I'm not including throwbacks and my debriefs. How many full episodes of Switchblade Sisters Social Club do you think have been released?
380.
Oh, God, I knew you were going to go so high, which was going to make it look really bad.
No, okay. So, 180.
126, but I'm sad we missed our 100th milestone. That means it would have been with you. I should have worked out which episode was our 100th. Yeah, I'm guessing. I don't know. I can't do math. But I just thought that was really quite cool. And also, I had some big news this week, which I was super excited about. So I have another podcast that I host, which is for a charity called Britain Palestine Project, which works on the relationship between Britain and Palestine, the historic responsibility of Britain in the region. We worked really hard on getting the UK to recognize the state of Palestine, which it has now done. But the question now and the thing that we're working on now is what next? We have historians, we have politicians, we have lawyers, we have artists, we have all sorts of people come on to talk about the situation over there. Yeah, it got voted number 1 in the world. Podcast on Palestine.
So amazing.
Thank you, Million Podcast. That was the directory that voted us number 1. They said it was based on numbers, content, length of service, quality of production, this, that, and the other. So that's just really nice because we care so much about our podcast, don't we? This one. And I care a lot about the other one as well, because it's what we believe in, what we find interesting, what we want to talk about, what we want to share about. So it's nice to get a bit of recognition and to know people also are appreciating it.
I don't think people realize how hard you work on everything. You constantly, like, you're coming to York soon and you've planned it all and it's not until August. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. Whether it's a podcast in Palestine or a trip to the York chocolate experience, you give it 100%.
Overcompensating for ADHD, for undiagnosed ADHD. Yeah, I'm really excited about our York trip, obviously. But yeah, so do check that out. We have had occasions, obviously, where the two themes of the podcast have merged. We did one episode here about Rachel Corrie, which was an awful case that happened in Gaza. If you're not sure whether you want to listen to a podcast about Palestine, listen to that episode. And then if you want to know more about that situation, then you can go and
buy the book in my shop.
Yeah, exactly. My Name is Rachel Corrie, which is a book edited by Alan Rickman and based on her diaries that is available at criminallygoodbooks.co.uk. The thing that is nice about my other podcast as well is that you can dip in their standalone episodes on different themes to do with Palestine. So you can skip ones that are maybe about a topic that you're not that interested in, or fast forward to ones that are more your bag. Really, really proud of that. Got some amazing episodes lined up. I'm going to have William Dalrymple come and speak on it soon.
Oh, he's so lovely.
So we've talked about him before several times. He's the new patron of the Britain Palestine Project, historian, writer, and a host of the amazing podcast Empire, which I also recommend. So on that note, 2 things are happening with this episode. A, it is the last episode of the season, but don't worry, I will be bothering everyone with my little debriefs to keep you going until we come back. I think we're having about an 8-week break, but I will be releasing some debriefs. And then secondly, this is a 2-parter on the post office. But yeah, let's get into this 2-parter. Second part, the post office Horizon scandal. This one, it's sort of like top level, makes you think it's just a sort of admin-y, financially sort of crime. And then it's when you go into it deep that you realize how many lives were affected, destroyed, you know.
And what I'm super keen, I know you're going to talk about it now because you mentioned last time, like the people at the top.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to give you a summary of episode 1. And then, like you say, episode 2 is more sort of the repercussions and the follow-up. So I told you the story of Tracy Felstead at the beginning. I opened with her story that she had started working for the post office when she was a teenager. She was accused of stealing over 11,000, which might not sound like a huge amount now, but bear in mind, this was, in the late 90s, I think, her case, and she's a teenager. So that would have felt like a million bazillion pounds, right? And it was based on nothing more than the computer system that said she had stolen this money. So she went to prison. She lost everything. And it took nearly 20 years to clear her name. But Tracy wasn't alone. Between 1999 and 2015, hundreds and hundreds, remember, it was nearly 1,000 were convicted. Sub-postmasters across the UK were accused, prosecuted, and in some cases imprisoned, all because of the data from this Horizon computer system. A system that we now know was riddled with bugs, errors, and defects, is the quote from court. A system that could generate phantom losses, and a system that could even be altered remotely without the knowledge of the person being accused. And yet, the post office treated Horizon as if it was infallible. They investigated the people, not the software. Because you would have thought at some point they'd be like, why don't we just look at the software? Let's test it. So they prosecuted these people they investigated. They told juries that the computer could not be wrong, all while internal warnings were being raised. Because remember, we found out that there were emails circulating with concerns being flagged, saying that documents should not be shredded and so forth. But lives were literally destroyed through spreadsheets, audits, courtrooms. And finally, years later, the truth began to emerge. Convictions were overturned. Courts called it an affront to justice, and Parliament took the extraordinary step of passing a law to quash convictions en masse. Because remember, it was something like, I can't remember however many, but they literally, rather than doing it on a case-by-case basis, they were like, this many thousands of convictions just gone by this one passing of one act, because this is ridiculous and these people are innocent. But even now, not everyone has been compensated yet, if they even can, I mean, money will help. It won't fix everything that went wrong, in those people's lives as a result of this. And not everyone has been held accountable. So the full story of who knew and why it continued is still unfolding. So now we're going into part 2. I want to tell you a few more case studies. And obviously there's no way I can go through the thousands people that were convicted and the many more. So Janet Skinner ran the Bransholm post office for over a decade before being accused in 2006 of a £59,000 accounting shortfall. She pleaded guilty to false accounting, probably because she was like, I've not stolen the money, but I guess it's possible I made mistakes, or maybe this is the only option I have to make this go away quicker. Who knows? Remember, we discussed last time the many motivations for pleading guilty, even though you don't think you're guilty. And in February 2007, she was sentenced to 9 months imprisonment, serving about 2 of those months, which, for your run-of-the-mill non-criminal, 2 months in jail is going to be life-changing. While jailed, she was put on suicide watch, and after release, she lost her home. She suffered stress-induced paralysis and spent a year in a wheelchair. She was left paying confiscation orders, and her conviction, along with hundreds of others, was finally quashed in 2021. But remember, she was convicted in 2007. So that is a long time to have this over your head, darkening your name. Under the compensation scheme, she had pressed for a fair redress, and she rejected an initial offer because it covered only 15% of her claim. Now, I don't have details about what her claim is, but how do you monetize? How do you put a figure to the damage? But it's going to be a lot. I'm sorry. And it should be, because...
So can I just ask on the compensation? Because I'm unclear, and tell me if you're going to go into this, but
I am.
Obviously some people were offered something that was negligible and didn't cover anything. And if they accepted something early on, can they still come back and say, actually, I want more?
Usually I'll go into it, but normally when you accept compensation, payment, a payoff or whatever, it's normally contracts need to be signed. If not an NDA, then some kind of saying that like, this is the end of it and you won't come back trying to claim more in the future. That's normally one of the conditions of being paid off, right? Seema Misra is from West Byfleet, Surrey. So this is like quite close to where I used to live in Twickenham. She ran the village post office at West Byfleet, and in 2010, auditors claimed £74,609 shortfall, and Seema was charged with theft and false accounting. A Guildford jury convicted her of theft. So false accounting to me implies you weren't doing your accounting correctly, but maybe you weren't maliciously doing it. And then theft implies to me that you were stealing on purpose.
Stolen it, But where is the money? This is like, where's the evidence that they have stolen it?
I know, because the money's there. That's the thing. There's no one complaining they haven't got paid. There's no service going, no invoices going unpaid. No, do you know what I mean? Like, you would have thought there should be a way of proving, you know, look, she was supposed to pay the X, Y, and Z out of this money. And there's, I don't know. So a Guildford jury convicted her of theft. And on the 11th of November, 2010, her son's 10th birthday, she was sentenced to 15 months imprisonment. At the time, she was 8 weeks pregnant with her second child. She collapsed in court and was put on suicide watch. The post office's then managing director even emailed staff celebrating her conviction, calling it brilliant news, which just feels really tasteless, really tone deaf, you know, like, even if you think she is guilty, the fact that a mother and a pregnant woman is going to jail, that's not brilliant news, is it? Anyways, in April 2021, her convictions were overturned. But again, that's 11 years after she was accused. She is now an outspoken campaigner, and she was honored with an OBE in 2024. Sorry, I don't know why that's made me emotional. I don't even like all that OBE bullshit, but
it's the recognition that something's happened, you know, and son would be 21 when her conviction was quashed, and his 10th birthday.
I think also it's because hopefully there would have been a lot of people that believed them, that they hadn't done anything wrong when they were saying at the time of being accused, I'm innocent. Like, I don't know what's happening here, but I'm innocent. Hopefully their loved ones have stuck by them, but we have a lot of stories where they haven't. And there will definitely be shadow of like doubt over them. You know what I mean? People using their services at the post office and this, that, and the other, or like meeting them on a, you know, a more superficial level who don't know them well enough to know. And so they might be suspicious. Like, it's just the fact that they would have had to live with their name being dragged through the mud to then turn around and be like honored. It's like, you know.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Well, it's the least they should get, to be honest. Can I just ask, did the baby survive?
Yeah.
Did she have a second child?
Okay. Yeah. She notes that the ordeal still ruined her life. She lost her home. She suffered long-term depression, financial hardship, and all sorts before she was finally cleared. And she would have had to have her pregnancy in prison. I've not been pregnant. You have. I imagine it's hard enough.
I can't imagine it. Like, you're all excited and then you're like going through that.
Then we have Sathyan Shiju, who ran a high street bath, a branch in Tolworth, southwest London, also not that far from Twickenham. In 2006, a Horizon audit showed more than £20,000 shortfall, and he was accused of theft. He was never formally convicted because he fought the charges, but the false accusations devastated his life. So this is a case where he's not included in the close to 1,000 people convicted because he fought the charges. But my point being, yes, there's the 1,000 people that got convicted, but there are many more like Sathyan who still had their lives ruined, even though they never got formally convicted. The false accusations devastated his life. He lost both his post office and his other family businesses. His homes were repossessed. He felt completely ruined and even tried to take his own life because of the strain. His wife and daughter took him to India for a time to recover, and he eventually applied for the government's Horizon Shortfall Scheme, a redress fund for the victims. And so he was offered, bear in mind, this man lost, obviously, his post office business, his other business, his homes. He was so broken, he tried to take his life and had to leave to go and recover in his homeland for a bit.
I think they probably offered him £3,000.
Okay, it's a little bit more than that, but it's £12,000. Sorry, Tolworth is a suburb of London. £12,000 is nowhere near even a fraction of amount of money. You can barely buy a decent secondhand car for that. To help someone restart their life because you ruined it, it's like a slap in the face, to be honest. He continues to campaign for full, fair compensation and official acknowledgement of the harm done. There's another lady, this broke my heart, Jo Hamilton, because this must have been true for so many people. She couldn't pick her grandkids up from nursery anymore because she had a criminal record. Like, we've all filled the forms out and most of us say no to criminal record, but all these people with their convictions have to tick yes that they have a criminal conviction. That must affect their chances of applying for mortgages, for finances, for courses, for jobs. So many doors closed. And here, this is a woman that just wants to continue picking up her grandkids from school. And I get why that school has a policy. That is not my fight here. It's just like the effects, the ramification. So I want to talk about, because the list of these victims, it goes on and on and on. And every single one of them has these horrendous stories of all the million different ways that it affected their lives. The CEO at the time of the post office, Paula Vennells.
Yes, I very much remember Paula Vennells.
Paula Vennells. So she looks very 90s, 2000s. Well, actually, she looks a bit, I don't know when this photo is taken, but honestly, she looks about like 80s, early 90s, corporate style for a lady. You know, the time where we unfortunately very much had to prove ourselves. Quite often it was by wearing these like power suits and throwing around a lot of masculine energy. I'm not judging this. I'm just saying this because, to be honest, it was probably the only way to be taken seriously, in quotation marks, at higher levels.
She made this herself. Right. Go and grab yourself a snack.
Can we leave this bit in?
Yes, we'll leave this in the podcast. Right, off you go. Go and get yourself a snack. And then close the door behind you.
Sorry, that cut to a little interlude of your daughter's amazing dragon puppets skills.
She's obsessed with.
Yeah, well, rightly so. She's awesome at it. But awesome. Let's go back to post office drama. Yeah, so this lady, she's got like proper short haircut, quite a severe haircut, let's say, and quite severe shoulder pads. Again, it's of the time, but like, I'm here. I own 51% of this business. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And you were saying that, you know, it's for a lot of women back then, and even still now, it was really difficult. It's a man's world. You're talking about at the top of one of the biggest and most well-known businesses in the UK. Yeah. She looks formidable. It's just such a shame what we now know about her and what a bitch she was.
Yeah. So her role in this scandal later became one of the most controversial leadership stories in modern British corporate life. So let me give you a little bit about her background. Paula Vennells, she joined the post office in 2007 and she became chief executive in 2012. And she stayed in that role till 2019. So during a lot of the, not necessarily all the convictions, but like the quashing of the convictions and it becoming obvious that there were problems with those convictions and the software. Alongside her corporate career, I vaguely remembered this, and I was just like, how did I even partly forget this weird, bizarre fact? Alongside her corporate career, she was also an ordained priest in the Church of England, serving part-time in parishes around Bedfordshire. Did you remember that?
I do remember. I remember something about this, and then people saying, like, how could she be a good Christian?
Yeah.
If, you know, this is what she's like to people.
Exactly.
And actually, yeah, I mean, I'm not religious, but how can you be a good Christian and have a clear conscience?
We're not religious, and we're also very aware of the fact that people that claim they're religious or people within the organized religious structure, that's no sign, there's no guarantee that they're a good person. But it is a weird combination being like senior level executive as well as an Anglican priest. I'm thinking from a logistical level, how the hell do you have time to do those two? Because they both seem very demanding in different ways. But anyway.
Well, let's see. Maybe she didn't.
She obviously didn't do at least one of the things well. Maybe she was the best priest ever. Who knows? So during her time as CEO at the post office continued to pursue prosecutions and civil cases against sub-postmasters accused of theft or false accounting linked to the Horizon system, which, if I remind you, is built by Fujitsu. #boycott Fujitsu. The organization strongly defended Horizon's reliability, despite growing complaints from sub-postmasters and internal concerns about system errors. And I'm guessing if they had a couple of like little old deers in the countryside, sorry, I know I'm playing on stereotypes, but like a little old deer running her little, post office franchise in a countryside, it's very easy to fob her off and be like, you just don't know computers. But I'm sure out of all the people, there would have been people that are much more tech savvy. You know what I mean? You can't just fob them off. In 2019, the High Court litigation led by campaigner Alan Bates, remember, our crush, concluded that the system contained numerous bugs and defects and that the post office's stance had been fundamentally wrong. So that's 2019. This is towards the end of her tenure. Despite the controversy, she left the post office in 2019 with a reported £5 million payoff package, including bonuses and a pension contribution. So this woman got $5 million. Bear in mind, this other guy whose whole life was ruined was offered 12 grand, not to mention bonuses, pensions, etc. And that, I'm guessing, is several more millions. Peter Mandelson asked for over £500,000 when he got fired from his US ambassador role. Because obviously there's some discussion about whether Paula Vennells left, was asked to leave, whatever, whether it was a sort of mutually beneficial agreement. But we know, because we've seen it with our very eyes, that quite often to avoid any more scandal or any drama, quite often it's a sort of with the high ups, because they don't mind embarrassing the people that haven't reached this level. The high ups, it's a frank discussion. Look, it's best for the organization and whatever that you leave. And here's a nice little golden goodbye, right?
Golden handshake. Yep.
I've never got fired, but I would never think if I got fired to then be like, okay, you can fire me, but you have to give me millions. And maybe that's where I'm going wrong. Yeah. Maybe we need to get fired more and ask for compensation for it. I don't know. But she then moved. Bear in mind that she's, I must say it, ruined a bunch of people's lives. She moved into a senior non-executive role at Imperial College Healthcare NHS Trust. So again, another sort of government adjacent organization.
I didn't know that.
She didn't even have to go like all the way into the private sector, to some unethical company or whatever. She's now working for the NHS in charge of people's health and well-being. Just bonkers. So this like rapid transition into other prestigious roles also fueled public anger, as you can imagine, because her life doesn't seem to be affected negatively at all. If anything, quite positively. So as the scandal grew in 2024, there was massive public outrage after this ITV drama that came out, which I'm sure you've seen, Mr. Bates versus the Post Office. Mm-hmm. After that drama, she handed back her CBE, Commander of the Order of the British Empire, which is like, why did she have it in the first place? The UK Post Office still uses a version of the Horizon IT system to this day.
Okay.
Now, I get it. Changing to a whole different software would be a logistical nightmare. It's not introducing a new software system. It's moving people over to a new one at this point. I get that. But this is just bonkers to me because you know what that means? It means they're still paying this company money for this software. I don't know whether it's like...
I would be interested to know what compensation the company have had to pay to the post office and then the post office out to people, because there must be something. I can understand why they still keep Horizon to a certain extent, because you don't want a brand new...
Logistically, I understand.
System.
Ethically, I cannot understand.
Morally, I can't understand it.
And also... Sorry, because you're saying you didn't know about these faults and you're saying that Horizon Fujitsu lied to you as the post office. but yet you're going to keep them on. So which one is it? Are you okay with the fact that they lied to you and you want to still work with them when they made it? It's not a little lie. It wasn't a little like, oh yeah, of course I'll get it to you by the end of the week. And then it's a couple of weeks later. This was a massive lie that the post office is saying, we didn't know about this. Therefore, the software company was lying to them because there is evidence that the software company knew. Now, as it's coming out, there's evidence the post office also knew, which makes it make a bit more sense that they would keep them on. If Horizon was like, look, we've got these faults, and the post office is like,
yeah.
Love a good murder? Come visit me, Isla, at Crimley Good Books in York, your one-stop shop for crime fiction and true crime reads, as well as gifts and author events. Or browse online at crimleygoodbooks.co.uk.
So it's now rebranded a little bit, but it's still called Horizon. It's Horizon Online. We're like, shall we just go for a totally different name? Nope. So they've been using Horizon Online since 2010. So they did rebrand and take on this, I say rebrand, slightly changed the name from Horizon IT to Horizon Online in 2010. So before a lot of the convictions were quashed and everything, but when they already knew that there were some problems. It's still developed and maintained by Fujitsu. It's cloud connected rather than relying on older local servers. And it's, again, used for branch accounting, transactions, balancing accounts across the post office network. This is obviously controversial because despite the scandal, the post office did not replace Horizon. So this little section is called Who Knew What and When?
Oh, love it, Dee.
Right? Because
who knew what?
This is the problem. Is it a massive F up? Why did I say F up? Fuck up. Is it Horizon lying to everyone? Or did the post office also know and they're really to blame as well? I would say even if they didn't know at the beginning, they should have done their due diligence and been like, okay, let's investigate these people, but let's also investigate this system at the same time. So the public inquiry, which published volume 1 of its final report in 2025, so this is recent, found out that before the rollout, Fujitsu staff had discovered that Horizon could generate false data. We talked about this last week. It also found that the post office maintained what is called a fiction of system accuracy, meaning the post office were constantly saying, no, the system is 100% accurate, it's infallible, blah, 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 but that this was a fiction that the post office was maintaining, which tells me they're saying the post office knew it was a fiction.
Okay.
I.e., the post office is lying about the fact that this system is 100% accurate, 100% infallible, that they knew it wasn't. Further volumes are still pending of this public inquiry, but there's evidence that the post office knew Horizon was faulty since as early as 2009. Bear in mind that they kept on convicting people much longer. I mean, that's actually before most of the prosecutions. So obviously the central questions are who knew, when did they know, and why did prosecutions continue even though more and more people within Fujitsu, Horizon, the post office, and further afield started to have suspicions? The Metropolitan Police launched Operation Olympus, which was investigating potential offenses, including perjury and perverting the course of justice. So again, who knew what and when? So I know I said that I was going to talk to you about this, but basically the investigation into that is ongoing. So in summary, this is what we know so far, but the official results have still not come out. And of course, I'll update you when that does happen. But at the rate it's going, it could be years. Hundreds of sub-postmasters were prosecuted based on the data from Horizon IT system, which was built and maintained by Fujitsu. This is what we know. The key developments are that in 2021, the Court of Appeal of England and Wales quashed 39 convictions in a landmark ruling. That was the first one, the first batch. Many more convictions have since been overturned through appeals or legislation. And then in 2024, the UK government passed the Post Office (brackets Horizon System) Offences Act 2024, automatically overturning hundreds of convictions in England and Wales. That was when they were like, en masse, let's just clear all these people. We owe it to them to at least do it as fast as possible because of everything they've been through. However, some of the cases are still being reviewed, particularly in Scotland and Northern Ireland, where different legal systems apply. I haven't talked about this and I struggle to find information about this, but there must be some complicating factors in that there must be in the whole network of the post office. Some people not legitimately, but genuinely stealing that might complicate.
Yeah, you're not going to go, right, everyone's innocent. But at the same time, how do they make it faster for those people to get their convictions quashed? And then
is
the
it
ones...
worth clearing a couple of potentially guilty people just to get... I mean, I literally have no stats on this. You know, maybe there's not one single person, but potentially there could be people actually stealing. So that's going to be a consideration. So number 2, compensation is still incomplete. It's been one of the most contentious issues, as you can imagine. There's several schemes that exist, but many have been offered ridiculous amounts and are still waiting for compensation decades after the accusations began. And the third point, the public inquiry, the Post Office Horizon IT inquiry chaired by Wynne Williams, is the central process trying to establish what went wrong. So the inquiry is still ongoing and it's examining failures inside the Post Office Limited, the role of Fujitsu, government oversight via the UK Department for Business and Trade, and the treatment of the sub-postmasters. The inquiry's final report is expected to lead to recommendations for accountability and reform, but like I said, it's not out yet. And number 4, in terms of things that should come out of this investigation, is possible criminal investigations, because another unresolved question is whether individuals will face criminal charges. Investigations are ongoing, but they are looking at people who should be done for perjury, perverting the course of justice, fraud, misconduct in public office. So as of now, no major prosecutions of senior executives have yet occurred, which remains a major source of anger for victims. So no one has yet gone to jail. But the report is going to come out with recommendations about who should be charged with what. So fingers crossed, there is some justice.
Then there has to be a court case after that as well. So that's more time.
I mean, it's just so sad. The report will also look at Fujitsu's potential liability because, you know, they're the ones that built and maintained Horizon. The UK government has said that Fujitsu, i.e. Horizon, should contribute financially to compensation. But negotiations and legal questions are still ongoing. So I get from that they haven't contributed. And so hopefully there's some call for them and some legal forcing of them doing that. The report will also look at the scale of the miscarriage. The scandal is now widely described as the largest miscarriage of justice in British legal history. Over 900 sub-postmasters, as I said, were prosecuted, and many more were financially ruined, forced out of businesses, not to mention the emotional toll of losing family, friends, the trust of their community, et cetera, other businesses, as we heard from, some of our case studies. So what's still unresolved is full compensation for many of the victims, potential criminal prosecutions for those in charge, Fujitsu's financial responsibility, and then hopefully they'll find some ways to reform the system so that this kind of thing cannot happen again.
There's all this stuff like so that it doesn't happen again. Like it's constant, like whenever there's something to do with children and like pedophiles, and it's like, we don't want this to happen again. And like if there's rapes or domestic violence and it's always like, we must learn and this shouldn't happen again. But things still happen.
Because there's 2 things with a lot of things, like with a lot of issues. How do we fix this? And how do we stop it happening again? Those should be 2 of the priorities, right? And when I say fix this, that's naive. I mean, how do we get as much justice as possible for this thing that's happened? And then how do we stop it happening again? Because this case was not just about IT failure. It's about disclosure failures. It's about institutional defensiveness. It's about the dangers of private prosecutions. Because remember, I told you that the post office was prosecuting, had the legal ability to prosecute these people. And this blind faith in technology, which I don't think we have anymore. We have an increased reliance on it and usage of it. But I think that if anyone came up to us and told us this technology system is 100% infallible, that very few people would believe that in this day and age. Like, good luck trying to get a jury to convict someone because your argument is that this bit of software never makes mistakes. So digital evidence has to be contestable. Institutions must be transparent. No system should be allowed to override human testimony without scrutiny. If you have this many people saying the same thing, then look into it. This scandal went on for over 2 decades. It's ongoing, as we said. It destroyed lives quietly, bureaucratically, which is like a new kind of torture. There's no dramatic villain, but it was more about organizations and institutions rather than individuals. It was just about reports and a refusal to admit error. So it's like easy sometimes to laugh about technology fails, like we laugh at like stupid AI pictures. I was looking at, this.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been following this. Katie Price. Yes.
Katie Price.
Wow. She's got married again. She met someone in May, got married in June. He got abducted in June, went missing for 3 weeks, allegedly.
Oh.
And there's all this hoo-ha and discussion and debate.
Something. Yeah.
Is this a PR stunt? Was he genuinely abducted?
Yeah.
In any case, she met him in May and married him in June, which is a very Katie Price thing to do.
I didn't realize they hadn't been going out for long. Anyway.
No, but my point being, one of the things that has come up is all of his AI photos. To be fair, on his personal Instagram. So if you want to generate AI photos for like, you know what I mean, you crack on. But it's him holding a butterfly, stuff like that. I mean, to be fair, sorry,
God,
allegedly AI. Maybe he does hold butterflies, but we laugh about that. We laugh about autocorrect and whatever, but there's the side that's not funny. And it's when that technology failure sends people to prison and ruins their whole lives.
Yeah,
so
of course.
This was definitely a case. So there you go. That's my post office. I wish that I could give you better news. This section is almost more depressing than the first, where I talked about the ins and outs of how these people got prosecuted, because the repercussions is that there weren't any for the people who caused this.
I think we're going to see something, because there's been several books now have come out. We've got a couple of them. There's one called like The Post Office Me. There was one by like the main lady. I can't remember her name.
I haven't gone through my sources, but a few of mine.
Yeah.
I'm sure
and
you will have in your bookshop.
Alan Bates as well.
But,
yeah.
It's just at the moment, sadly, there doesn't seem to have been any repercussion for the organizations involved, the Post Office and Horizon Fujitsu, or the individuals involved. Not just the CEO of the Post Office, Paula Vennells, but potentially other people within those two organizations that knew things before.
I think there's going to have to be, the thing is, this is so big now. I think there's going to have to be convictions at board level, like from the people on the board. I think there's going to be financial stuff linked to the to Post Office and to Fujitsu.
Because like I said, otherwise, we're saying, yes, we want them to have compensation. I stand by that. But if they don't make Fujitsu or even the Post Office, contribute to that, it means that the government is stumping up for that, which means the taxpayer, which means that these companies are being told, you go and manipulate the system however you want to make whatever money you want. And if you do get some kind of fine or have to pay compensation, don't worry about it, because the government will pay it. What is the accountability? What is the desire, the motivation to do things correctly, morally, ethically?
So I don't know how things work when it comes to compensation, but if I was the UK government, I would be going, right, I'm going to set up this scheme for these people because they've been wronged, because I've looked at the evidence and I believe that Horizon and the Post Office were wrong. So if we go through the criminal court, we're going to ensure that they're convicted, and it'll take time. But so that those people don't have to wait, we, the government, will take the hit and we will pay the compensation, but it will be repaid out of this legal case because they are confident that they're going to have to pay it back. So I think that that's probably where it's at. But there's going to be, hopefully, and there's no way that these people are going to go. There's no way that woman can live her life and not be charged.
I mean, she got money out of it and other jobs.
I hope every day of her life she feels shit about it and that people shout at her in the street. Because if I met her, I would tell her that she was a piece of shit.
I mean, I just keep thinking about, I did environmental studies at uni and stuff, about the companies, the larger companies, the bigger the companies, the more they were able to do this financially, that would just ignore the rules and regulations, because even on the rare occasion they get fined, it was still cheaper to just pay the occasional fine than to pay to do things legally, ethically, environmentally sound. You know what I mean? So I just feel like if I'm worried that all that will come out of it is that the Post Office and Horizon Fujitsu have to contribute some money to compensation. And I feel like that's too light a sentence, because they are multi-billion-dollar businesses, I think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if that's the biggest repercussion for them, the worst thing that happens to them off the back of this, that doesn't feel right to me. That doesn't sit well. So let's see. So we talked about books. There are some books. A really good one is, tell me if you got this in the store, but in any case, all books available at Criminally Good Books. You can order books to arrive the next day, can't you? Nick Wallace, The Great Post Office Scandal. There's an amazing British Scandals podcast miniseries on the Post Office Horizon scandal. There's loads of stuff on postofficehorizoninquiry.org.uk has got like the reports, a lot of statements and stuff like that. I'll put full link list of my sources in the show notes, but there's a lot on the government website. And then I also read some articles from The Independent, The Guardian, and all of those other lefty publications that I love. Right. So palate cleanser time.
Please.
Today, my quiz is called Computer Says No.
Oh my God.
A multiple choice quiz about major computer fuck-ups. Basically, I'm going to give you the disaster and you have to guess what actually happened, okay? You will know.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Well, you know some of them.
Okay. I'm ready. Okay.
And you know, the point of these quizzes is less for points. It's more to talk about ridiculous shit, you know?
For fun.
So, people our age, we remember very much the Y2K bug.
Oh my God.
For our younger listeners, because I literally had a conversation with someone who didn't know what this was. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so old. We were like late teens-ish, right? Early 20s. Basically, because of the actual numbers in a date, going from 1999 to a number that starts with 2, I know it sounds bonkers saying it out loud, but obviously we've not had computers at the turn of a millennium before. And so it was not known how a lot of these computers and computer software systems would react, whether they'd be able to just carry on as normal once we hit midnight. And like, you remember, we were literally like, everything could be fine, or planes could fall from the sky. And, you know, the power could go out. The whole world could shut down. Like, we literally were told anything could happen. We don't really know. So that was called the Y2K. So year 2000 bug. Sorry, I've literally answered the question. So the Y2K bug was feared to cause what? A, all computers to permanently shut down. B, nuclear missiles to launch automatically. C, planes to fall out of the sky. And D, ATMs to start dispensing infinite money. E, all of the above.
All of the above. Can you imagine people at ATMs like waiting like 1 minute?
Well, I know that it was a very real thing that no one wanted to be in the air at that time, and across the whole world. So like almost 2 days of travel just shut down at a very busy time over the New Year.
I was in Paris. I went to Paris.
You were like, fuck that, I'm getting on a train.
And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm getting on a train. Yeah.
None of that stuff happened at all. Well, I'm sure some stuff happened, but nothing dramatic happened that I remember.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters to me. Question 2. In 2012, Knight Capital, Knight as in like a jousting knight, KNIGHT Capital. So like a money company, a money company. Okay. I don't know what they do. They lost $440 million in just 45 minutes because A, a hacker broke into the stock exchange. B, a trader pressed the wrong button. C, an old test code was accidentally deployed live. Or D, a power outage scrambled trades.
A hacker.
No. C, old test codes. An old test code was accidentally deployed live. So basically, some little bit of test code somewhere in this financial software system. It was an old one, meaning it's been discarded and disused, but they've accidentally clicked go and lost that company. Meaning its users, I'm getting it's a sort of an investment firm, a venture capital firm. So all of the people that are invested with them, $440 million gone in 45 minutes.
Wow.
Can you imagine seeing that happen live on your screen if you're one of those people investing in that company?
And I'm sure someone there would get fired for that, and there would be like
some little IT guy, you know, who's like, I'm sorry, I was just having a bad day. I just accidentally clicked the wrong number. I dropped my mouse.
Sandwich in the keyboard.
And they're like, right, okay, fired. God. Your whole life is ruined. Question 3. The Therac 25 scandal in the 1980s involved A, a hospital billing glitch, B, a radiation therapy machine overdosing patients due to software errors, C, a pharmaceutical inventory mistake, or D, a faulty MRI magnet. Therac 35 scandal, a hospital billing glitch, a radiation therapy machine overdosing patients because of software errors, pharmaceutical inventory mistake, or a faulty MRI magnet.
I think B.
Yeah.
Is it true?
So this is the 1980s. Software errors meant that they were giving too much radiation to some patients. Okay, question 4. In 1999, NASA lost the Mars Climate Orbiter. Lost a spaceship because, sorry, shouldn't laugh. It's terrible. Just the thought of NASA losing a whole spaceship. Okay, so in 1999, NASA lost the Mars Climate Orbiter because A, it exploded on launch. B, hackers interfered. C, engineers mixed up metric and imperial units. Or D, a navigation satellite failed.
I think they mixed up the units.
Yeah. So this is a problem. Like, I also remember, I think I just moved here, and maybe it was just before I moved here when they started formalizing, changing over from imperial to metric here, having to learn a whole new system. I get that. But I also see the multiple of advantages of everyone using the same means of measurement. And also the imperial systems are bonkers. I remember when I lived in Holland and I was told I was going to move to the UK. And then I learned that they measure things in stones. And in my 7-year-old mind, I was seeing them like comparing the weights of things with stones because I'd just been to the village of Gouda where they weighed me and told me how much cheese rounds I would be. So I thought it was like that. Do you know what I mean?
That is so cute, Dee. That is so cute.
But that's like their gimmick at their cheese fest, you know? You get on these scales and you're like 3 of these or whatever. So in my mind, when I learned that in England, they measure things in stones, I was like, what is this backward place I'm going to? But yeah, so basically, especially if you're having like an international project, like a NASA will involve people from all over the world and the country and whatever, you maybe should have a memo go around about which system you're going to use. Because like I said, they lost a spaceship because of this.
And then they found it again because they realized their error?
Actually, reading my question, I don't know if I mean lost. I don't know if lost means they literally couldn't find it anymore or it exploded, but they don't have it anymore is the point. Question 5, 2018, a false missile alert in Hawaii was sent out because A, a hacker spoofed the system. B, a test message was accidentally sent live. C, a satellite glitch. Or D, a coding error in a weathered system.
So can I say, did you say that it launched a missile?
No, 2018, a false missile alert in Hawaii was sent out. So basically, everyone on their phones got a message saying, missile coming.
I think it's a test one again.
Yeah. It was a test message was accidentally sent live. So, you know, you've got computer system errors, human errors, and the lovely combination of the two.
It's scary, isn't it? You put so much faith in technology and a lot of it is human error, though.
Yeah. And, you know, just the fact, like, if someone gets hold of your phone and gets in, they have everything. Now we have an NHS app. Oh, it's super useful until you realize, oh, yeah, actually, now if someone has my phone, they have my whole
detail.
medical history, all of your banking, all of your communications, all of your photos, all of your emails, WhatsApps, messages, all of your other random apps. Do you know what I mean? Like they'll be able to tell what your hobbies are, who's close to you. Yeah, so that's my palate cleanser.
Did I get 5?
Yeah.
I got loads.
Yeah, you got 100.
5.
I know there was only 5 questions, but you actually got 28 points. So that's pretty special.
Yeah. Yay. I enjoyed that.
But boo, end of season.
Boo, end of season. It's gone really quickly, but you're going to do some debriefs. And I've got 2 episodes I'm working on, thanks to a wonderful researcher friend that's helping me out and reading lots of books in the shop. And between
hello,
the 2
Meg's husband. What's his name?
Hello, Megan's husband, Michael.
Oh, hello, Michael. Should we launch the next season with one from you?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, in that case, I'll see you for season 7.
Oh my God, Dee, I can't wait.
Love you, sexy listeners.
And I love you.
Sexy
I love you so much.
co-host.
And I cannot wait. We're going to be going to Harrogate soon as well. And I'm going to see you in August. And I'm going to see you on holiday. And I don't know if we're I'm just going to see you loads.
And I'll
soon.
see you while you're
can't
sleeping.
Wait. Oh, God. Do you know what my daughter says? She says, I live in your brain rent-free. How awful is that?
She's not wrong. It is
scary.
Creepy. It is creepy, but
scary.
she's not wrong. On that note,
no.
Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye. 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 Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Like this episode? Want more? Come visit me, Isla, at Crimley Good Books in the heart of York. We're an independent bookshop dedicated entirely to crime. From cosy mysteries to gritty thrillers, historical whodunits to juicy true crime. We've got signed editions, special gifts and plenty of recommendations for your next obsession. We also host a bunch of awesome author events. Can't make it in person? Visit us online at crimleygoodbooks.co.uk.